Ronald Reagan presents Cinema 9 Podcast, live and uncensored. We're going to talk about The Girl Next Door. Does it hold up or not? We're going to do some quarantine viewing picks. Of course, you can always go to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review if you like. It'll be a good time. And, of course, you can follow us on all your favorite social media, Cinema 9 Pod. Email the show, cinema9pod at protonmail.com. All right, we're off to Travis Roy. Travis Roy just got done with parent-teacher conferences. He's having a great time. What an exciting night to be alive.
Yeah, it's snowing in Detroit, which is always nice.
Is it?
Yep. At least it's
I haven't been
snowing
outside
in Hazel
all day.
Park. It's been a brisk one, but it's my kind of weather. Long fucking day, but I'm happy to be here with you guys to talk about this film from 2004, The Girl Next Door.
Sounds about right, eh, Eric?
That's how we're all feeling.
I got a mystery check from the government for like $1,300. I don't know if I should try to cash it or what to do with it, but it's been racking my brain all day. What should I do here?
Is it part
Always
of the
know if the juice is worth the squeeze.
I don't know if it's part of the child care thing or Biden bucks, Trump bucks. I don't have no clue what it is.
I would guess it's either belated stimulus money or child care credits. Probably child care credits.
Cool.
Fucking leads a week.
Maybe it's a bogus lead. Maybe it's a bogus lead. Who knows?
Well, there's a big picture of Ronald Reagan on it, but so I don't know why that would be relevant to anything right now.
I think you're expected to frame and worship it.
Somebody this morning got really excited. Somebody posted 3 comments at 2:52 a.m. They're really excited. It does.
It does. Oh, okay.
Alicia rocks. 5 stars, all from the same
Wow.
guy. So
whoa,
he was
4
really...
stars and then 1. Is that like a supernova? The hell is that thing at the end?
Oh yeah, it is like a special crown star or something.
Yeah,
right.
I like it.
Anyways,
Thank you, Gavish.
thanks Gavish Sethi. And I know you're excited. I don't know if you're actually here for the show, but you don't have to be. Remember, you can check out all these shows on YouTube anytime you want. They're all there in perpetuity, at least as far as when we started doing this on the regular, which is not every episode, believe it or not, but it's a fair amount of them. So.
Yeah, the last 50 or so. I mean, that's a lot.
Sure. Yeah, 50 is fine.
Ish.
Yeah, so, all right, well, let's get into it. Quarantine viewing picks. Travis Roy, you're up first.
I really haven't watched a lot this week. It's been a really busy week. Somehow I managed to check out both recent offerings from The Rock. I watched Jungle Cruise from 2021.
Yeah.
It was like loud color in the background.
I watched it too, man.
I didn't dislike it. It was what I expected, but it just like felt like, I don't know, just like this really bright noise.
I couldn't put my finger on it either. Like I didn't dislike it, but it was just like noise and stuff was happening for 2.5 hours.
If I was a toddler, I would have fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I probably would have, like reach out and batted at it. Something shiny,
Yeah.
Which was about what you got out of Red Notice also. I mean, at least it's like completely new material, new heist movie, but it's not like based on any IP or anything. Like it's what I expected. You guys are familiar with Red Notice. This is Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot all teamed up for a caper or whatnot. And you get what you order. You're not this isn't David Mamet. This isn't anything to sit down and analyze. There'll probably be a bunch of them. Who fucking cares?
Yeah. Damn.
I watched The Girl Next Door, and I finally watched Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which of course I do wish I'd seen it in theaters, but Delta was cresting. And so I skipped this one in the theaters, and I loved it. It followed the Marvel formula pretty well, but I mean these action sequences are outstanding. They make you connect with some characters and with some fairly brief screen time. I think that we have yet another I wouldn't say like overly complex villain, but I mean at least it's like there's shades here, there's nuance, there's stuff to sympathize with, and it doesn't exactly go like you would expect. So yeah, definitely love Shang-Chi. I will watch it again, and those are the movies I watched.
Dang.
Those are the movies that he watched. Right. Vanilla formulaic trash is on the scene again in Hollywood.
It's all big studio shit this week for some reason. I guess
big studio shit trash.
Brain off, TV on.
Eric, what have you been watching?
It's going to be our shortest episode ever. 5 minutes in, and Travis is already done with his quarantine picks.
That's right. Yeah. Hey,
Luckily,
they don't
I
have to
watched
be 2 hours long. You know, we got lives to live here.
I watched a ton of stuff, man. I had a big week for movies, so sometimes they come back. Has always been, in my opinion, one of the most underrated Stephen King adaptations.
Fuck yeah.
Ever. And I used to watch this all the time with my older brother Marty back in the day, and it hit me again, man. It's genuinely eerie, but it's also like a really sweet story about brothers. If you haven't seen it, check it out on Tubi, because it's really cool with interesting horror elements and really sweet family elements. Love Sometimes They Come Back. I haven't seen Sometimes They Come Back Again or Sometimes They Come Back for More, but I doubt that they are as good as this original adaptation.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
I watched The Princess Diaries with Anne Hathaway and Julie Andrews. I mean, what do you want from me, man? When you got Disney Plus, you just keep hitting play on whatever the fuck pops up.
You don't have to. There are other options.
Yes.
I like
you
Julie
can't sit here and
Andrews.
pretend like there. Yeah, there you go. Now you get that. I mean, it's okay
like
that you
Julie
wanted to
Andrews.
watch. That's fine. Don't pretend like there isn't 5 million other movies you could have watched with the touch of a button.
All right, I needed a scapegoat. I liked it, but I'm sitting there watching it and I'm thinking to myself, well, what are people's problems with Anne Hathaway? Because like we got this whole like faction that's like Anne Hathaway is so overrated. And I'm like sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, what's the problem? Because she's very beautiful, and not that beauty is everything. That's just one element from a superstar like of that caliber. And she seems like a really friendly person. So what's the problem? I think I pinpointed it. Okay. In my opinion, when she's acting in any movie, she kind of acts like she has like all this charisma when she really doesn't have all that charisma like to begin with.
That's not it. No. It's actually very clear. You could Google it. People think she's pretentious. She's pretentious and she overacts. Like a good example of it in The Dark Knight Rises, when she does that fake crying thing and then goes immediately to straight face. Yes, she's playing a role there too, but people think that's how she is in real life.
I think that I think that she does well under certain directors. I mean, Les Mis, she was fucking outstanding in that.
Yeah,
I would
really good in that.
Die on that hill, but
yeah.
I do think that there's other stuff that I wanted to like her in, but sometimes like she's the kind of actor that you're reminded that they're acting while they're acting.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. I think you're right. Because
I'm
like
watching this and I'm
fan,
like,
yeah, no, I don't dislike
I don't mind her.
Yeah,
but like if you have like Julia Roberts is like a clear superstar. It's like born superstar. And I compare her, not that I have to, but to someone like Anne Hathaway and Gary Marshall. I only do that because Gary Marshall directed Pretty Woman, which I just watched recently, and then I watched this, and I'm like, what's the problem here? Like we have this person who like should be the star, and like there's this problem. I think you're right. She's overacting, and I'm just not buying it. I don't know. Either way, I watched both of them. As soon as it ended,
Roberts is trash.
As soon as it ended, I just put
Julie
on part
Roberts
2.
Trash.
Really?
I love a lot of her movies.
Really?
But I wouldn't want to be
woman, and yeah, she's way
Julie
overrated.
She's
I
awful.
wouldn't want to be stuck in an elevator with her. I heard she doesn't.
No, yeah, I wouldn't. I do love America's Sweethearts. I'll always admit that, but otherwise, she's tremendously overrated. That's just my opinion. I know it's not commonplace.
Well, we're here to hear your opinion about film and actors. So that's
fine. True. That is.
I like her. I'll watch just about anything she's in.
Yeah,
but I agree. I wouldn't necessarily want to hang out with her.
She stinks. She stinks.
She like her and Brad Pitt. No, thank you. I'm sure they're great people, nice people, terrible people. I have no fucking idea, honestly. But they're very famously not big on like deodorant.
Wow.
No, thank you.
Jesus. You know what? There's a really good music documentary on Leonard Skinner on Netflix. If I leave here tomorrow, or if I leave you tomorrow, I think it's called something like that. It's fucking really good, man. If you're in a just docs about, you don't have to be a huge fan of Leonard Skinner, but in terms of just a movie about the creative process, it's a really good documentary. I recommend it. I just started kind of getting, I'm not going to say I'm into them, but I started appreciating them later in life. And now I'm like, shit, these are some really fucking good songs.
Oh yeah,
guys that are under 30. Watch the doc. I think you'd really enjoy it, Travis. They talk about how they rehearsed everything down to like the note before they even went into the studio. They talk about their whole process, how they were in the swamp, like in the shack, just like practicing all day long, and it's just really fun. It was just a fresh music doc.
Cool.
Swamp Shack.
Swamp Shack. Lula Rich is on Amazon. It's this documentary about this supposed LuLaRoe pyramid scheme. You guys know this story?
Mm-mm.
I had no clue what I was watching until I came down and it was on the television. So I sat there and watched like this 4-part series. I guess it's one of those, you know how you get like like Facebook requests from like your friends. Usually they're females. They're like, hey, like I'm making money on the side. Try this. And it'll help you. It works. It's like one of those, but it's like about like these cheap leggings that like people buy because the prints are interesting. And then like they rip in 5 seconds and like they're plagiarized. All the art is completely plagiarized and like they get shipped to you soaked in like pond scum. And like it's just a classic pyramid scheme. Like you make money if the person under you signs up. It's kind of interesting in theory, but it's like a first world problems, the documentary. It's like maddeningly obvious. Like it's like, oh, you took a job on part-time job on Craigslist and you're surprised that you're out $1,000. You know, woe to me. It's a little frustrating, but kind of an interesting story. I don't know if it's worth 4 parts.
Definitely lost me with that last little detail.
Yeah.
Just look up an article instead. It's not worth the 4 parts. The Burning. Finally saw The Burning 1981 slasher starring Jason Alexander and Holly Hunter makes a brief appearance.
And Fisher Stevens' taint.
Just going to let that lay there for a second. And yes, Fisher Stevens' taint. Okay, but did you know this? Written by Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, did you
Written
notice
by
Holly
Harvey
Hunter?
Weinstein.
You notice Holly Hunter in that shit?
It's a problem.
I say that shit lovingly. I think it's a fine film. Now, I'm not a Weinstein fan by any stretch, but I mean, this is an influential classic fucking 80s slasher. Low budget, classic 80s horror.
Like an hour went by, nobody even died. They're just like having fun at the camp. I don't know. I don't really get the hype. I don't know if I can approve of The Burning.
Yeah, but once they die, they start dying in huge groups.
You know, Tom Savini's
really like
effects were solid, but you know, Harvey Weinstein. I mean, come on, dude. Jesus Christ.
You got a young, behaired Jason Alexander.
Yeah, very behaired.
You got what's his name? Ned Eisenberg in there doing some good stuff. I don't know. I think it's funny. I think it's a good horror, but you know, to each their own.
Dune. Okay. So I watched Dune. I was sick on Monday, Mike. So I sat there. I have HBO Max. So I have it's unbelievable. I have access to this major film that's in theaters. I can just push play. It never ceases. Every time I do it on HBO Max, I'm like, how is this? How am I doing this? I hit play. I watched it. It's 2.5 hours long. What did you think again, Travis? I couldn't remember your review.
I didn't seem to like it as much as most people. I certainly enjoyed it. I'm not going to get any tattoos about it or anything, but I mean, I liked it. I found it kind of a little sparse and meandering in some places, but also very visually appealing. I mean, a little overhyped, but good.
I think the problem was it just was not for me at all. Like I can admire it technically, like great acting, cool shots, but I didn't care about anything that was happening. And I was hoping that it'd be one of those sci-fi films that, even though I'm not a big sci-fi person, would grab me and be like, oh, this now I can start to get into this. I didn't give a shit about anything that was happening. So I'm 3 for 3 on these Doom adaptations. I'm done. After Lynch, the Sci-Fi Channel, and then this Villeneuve picture, I don't care about Dune anymore. And I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't give a fuck about Dune.
You don't have to.
It's okay.
I don't. It's not my fault.
It's not your fault.
Old. I finally watched M. Night Shyamalan's Old. I rented it. It's awful. It's awful. It's horrible. It's horrible.
All right. I'm still going to watch it, but my expectations.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Someone could say, oh, you see M. Night Shyamalan's new film, it's fucking god awful. I would still watch it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man.
Yeah. And that says things about him as a filmmaker.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also says things that most of us will wait till it's free.
Big recommendation of the week, sorry to go on so long, is Introducing Selma Blair, a documentary that is on Discovery Plus, which I forgot to add. I signed up for Discovery Plus
just for this
so I could watch this.
Yeah, of course you did. I know.
So I got to figure out how to manage my subscriptions.
You do. It'll be like
even
this
if I
third
get
episode in a row of you complaining about this.
even if I get bit on a $5.99, it was worth it. Fucking fantastic documentary about this artist who's struggling with multiple sclerosis and her journey to undergo stem cell treatment. It's really powerful and engaging look at this process, and this kind of underrated or underappreciated, or probably a better adjective is like underutilized actress. So definitely like the film.
Cool. I'm not going to start streaming Disney or Discovery Plus just for that. But
There's nothing else on there. There's nothing else on there. It's like old episodes of This Old House, and that's it.
That's a big pass, Elton John.
Yeah. All right. Well, there it is. Eric Branstrom's finest of the week. I didn't really watch any movies this week besides the movie we had to watch. I watched a lot of TV, so I was really stuck on Showtime anytime. And, you know, with the new Dexter series coming back, I never watched Dexter ever, so I started watching Dexter.
Yeah.
And, boy, I really was missing out. This is a...
yeah.
This might be the most cynical show of all time. Like, it's mind-blowingly like, wow, okay, this is how it is. And it works. I'm on season 2, and I took a little break, though. It got a little monotonous. I got a little bit tiresome.
Season 2
like
is the worst by far. Season 2 sucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, then it gets incredible after that. Jimmy Smits is in season 3, and then Lithgow. Season 4 is the best by far.
Season 4 is a peak, and it kind of does start to decline after season 4.
I'll say.
Just for the record, I am of the rare fan. I love all seasons. I even love the last episode. I like the whole show. I do think there's flaws. Don't get me wrong, but I will stand by Dexter, and I'm excited to watch the new thing. I'm glad you're checking it out, Mike.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Long overdue. I'm just like, what's this fucking Dexter shit? I always heard about it forever.
Dexter.
I know he's a serial killer good guy. That was obvious. Spoiler alert. Aaron says that him and Dana have rewatched Dexter in preparation for Dexter New Blood, which is now available on Showtime.
Damn.
Which obviously tells me that Dexter maybe never actually gets caught. Unfortunately, it's kind of a spoiler. The fact that there's a new show and he's still around. So
It's a prequel.
Isn't it unbelievable that they could just bring shows back nowadays? Like, never in my wildest dreams would I thought this would be a thing, like in the 90s or whatever.
I mean, sometimes it's not for the best. You know, I mean, I had like Arrested Development, like, oof, like you didn't need to thank you.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. It really wasn't.
Have you been watching Curb? I haven't started watching Curb
I haven't
yet.
started it either. No, I think I'm 2 seasons behind, actually.
Oh, really?
I should be watching it. I just didn't have access.
I don't know why I haven't.
I don't know why I haven't either. I heard some of the recent episodes are some of the finest work he's done yet. So I'm sure it's hilarious.
I'll get on it.
I got to get on it too. I did watch this show on Showtime called City on a Hill with Kevin Bacon playing the scumbag ass. It's about early 90s Boston, late 80s, early 90s Boston. And it's like The Wire in the sense that all of these parts of the city are intertwined. And Kevin Bacon's a scumbag FBI agent. There's hints of Whitey Bulger in it because it's right after Whitey Bulger like takes off and runs away and goes into hiding, and the FBI gets exploited for what it really was. And he's one of these old-timey guys, and there's like a new guard of young African Americans who are trying to create actual change. Aldous Hodge is the lead character on that end, and the show was great. I blew through 2 seasons. There's only 2 seasons. It looks like they just shut it down. I think it's over, but I am going to honestly say this is seriously maybe some of Kevin Bacon's best work he's ever done. I'm not even kidding you. Like he makes it so worth it. He's such a scumbag in this. He's got this mustache throughout the whole show with this early 90s hair, and he's all haggard and fucked up, but he's cunning.
Late film sleepers kind of.
Yes, yeah. Except that he's just that much older now, and like he truly fits the part of a guy who's past his prime. So it's really, I strongly recommend it. It's City on a Hill. It's also executive produced by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, so you know they know the city pretty well. And there's a lot of, for me, Travis, I really enjoyed the fact because there's a lot of real historical shit built into it. That like The Wire, it kind of like sets the tone for it. So I think I don't know if people like the show or not. I think it's over because they only did 2 seasons.
I've heard of it.
I don't think they're doing a 3rd one.
Oh, that's too bad.
I don't think so. But the show came out in 2019, so I don't know. Maybe there's a 3rd season. But it kind of seemed like they wrapped it up on the final episode of this season 2.
Okay. Well, I'd be fine with that, honestly. I mean, I don't want to latch on to 16 seasons of some bullshit.
You know, that's what I thought of because I watched, you know, the morning show, I wanted to watch season 2. I hadn't watched it yet. I loved the first season. And I started watching the season 2, and I kind of was like, you know what? I wish they would have just made this a one-off.
I'm liking season 2, but I'm not nearly as into it as I was with season 1. I really am liking it though. I mean, I'm all for limited series these days. It's like I think it's the perfect form of
love limited series.
That's the perfect form right there. Just
about
like
maybe
9 1-hour episodes, and I'm happy.
I keep hearing the good things about like Yellowstone, but it looks like
I've heard that too. I've never watched
dry
it.
to me, but like I keep hearing it's really good.
Yeah, I hear that too.
I'm gonna have to get fucking Paramount Plus now. God,
yeah.
There's not much on there. I had that one; it was worthless.
Oh well, I know that I'm on episode 3 of season 2 of the morning show, and I'm definitely going to watch the rest of the season. But it did occur to me, like, boy, they was just so hard hitting in season 1, and now it's like all kind of fucked up. And I'm sure it'll be worth it in the end. I got to finish the season out. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I also watched a documentary. You're gonna love this, Travis. JFK Revisited.
Are you watching it? Come on, dude.
Are you kidding me? I love JFK the movie.
I didn't know he released it. I thought I was waiting for it, but I didn't know he released it.
Oh, it's on Showtime, dude.
Oh,
and
fuck.
I will say this.
Now what?
It's nothing like the movie. It's a documentary. It's an update.
Well, it is.
It's an updated version. What's that?
It's still fiction, right?
It is by Oliver Stone. It's an updated bit by bit account with specific. Now I know you're going to say what you're going to say, but I'm telling you, there's all the documents they show bit by bit, because all the what was it, the subcommittee on assassinations, and then the 1992 committee after JFK came out, where they were going to release 2 million more documents over the last 30 years, and they have done that. So he wants to go through it with all the documents. It's very document heavy. It actually makes it kind of boring as fuck, but I will give him credit for it being really sourced in just evidence, not like, hey, well, I saw this fucking guy, he did some shit. So,
this is such a cry wolf thing, though, because like, imagine like the most pure truth you can think of, like something that's absolutely fundamentally true coming out of the mouth of the mouth of Alex Jones. Like you're just gonna like, I'm not even gonna fucking sit here and listen to this. I'm gonna completely discount this because of the source. So I
think we disagree on the extreme nature of Oliver Stone versus Alex Jones, but I know what you're saying. I get your point.
Yeah.
So, for you, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, that was the point I was making. Not that he's necessarily.
So does new shit come to light on this, or is it just
lots of new shit?
Redacted this, redacted that. You know, hey, hearsay this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we know the truth, and it's kind of lays out the groundwork for it. It's not really that revelatory because we already know what the story is, and it tries to lay out the evidentiary sourcing of these things that we thought we knew. And there's still a few things that are locked up, though. So fuck it.
It is surprising me that they just keep on pushing that back. Like it's a fucking half a century ago, man. Why do you keep on stalling on this?
No sense.
Waiting for all the
there's grandchildren, there's nieces. These people's lives will be impacted trash fest. I also watched a documentary called "Anything Is Possible." You have to say it like that because that's how Kevin Garnett would say it. It's a documentary about Kevin Garnett, a basketball player, came from small. That's right. Yes, that's him.
Travis made a sports reference.
Well,
nice job, buddy.
I made a film reference. It's the only thing I know about him.
Yeah, mostly known for his Hall of Fame basketball career. Yes, but he came from nothing, right? And he's very tall. He's 6'11", and he's skinny, and he's very loud. He's a shit talker. He really has a strong personality, and I gotta say though, I liked it because it was like really raw and honest, and that's the kind of stuff I want. I want it to be. What are you providing for me? We saw you play basketball. What else are you giving me here? Are you going to give me inside stories? Are you going to tell me what it was really like during these periods in between games and off seasons and struggles? And he really did that with a real sense of brutal honesty and a lot of swearing. I mean, a ton of swearing. He's just swearing throughout this thing. Totally raw. So I would recommend it, even if you're not a basketball fan. It's a fascinating story about a guy who came from nothing.
I've been meaning to watch that. I think it's pretty much common knowledge that Michael Jordan is like historically like not a very good guy, but I've been meaning to watch that documentary, The Last Dance or whatever.
Oh, that's trash. Don't watch that. You won't even care about that at all. Trust me. You'll find no value in it. It's dumb. Even sports fans are like, oh, this is cool. But if you don't, you're not going to get anything out of it because he doesn't reveal anything about himself. It's the same old shit with that guy. Michael Jordan.
Give me something like Malice at the Palace, man. You got to watch it.
Awesome. Jim Brown, Jim Brown, former football player turned actor, who was in Oliver Stone's Any Given Sunday, by the way. He often has said, what if Michael Jordan spoke up about some of the things that some lesser known athletes and some lesser known people had spoken up about. Like their impact could be tremendously huge for the African American community and for civil rights, but he doesn't do anything. I think there's a big disrespect for Michael Jordan, and it's kind of sad because he's so rich and wealthy, but he's kind of
He'd rather not
egotistical
tip
maniac.
his own employees at his steakhouse when he visits it in Chicago.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me close it out with I watched American Rust season 1, and it's really good, and I want to strongly recommend it. I think I texted off screen about this last week because I forgot to mention it. Old man Jeff Daniels and Maura Tierney, old woman Maura Tierney. They're both older, but they're killing it. Fantastic. Outstanding acting, great writing, and it kind of went hand in hand with what we were talking about. What was I talking about last week with the like the backwoods Pennsylvania Appalachia stuff? I mentioned another movie that reminded me of that, or a show.
Out of the
Furnace.
Oh yeah, so it kind of like went hand in hand with this. It was like an update to Out of the Furnace because it's about right out 15 miles from the border of West Virginia, this small Pennsylvania town outside of Pittsburgh. Jeff Daniels has a past, or does he? What is it? Who knows? Watch the show.
Wow,
pretty good.
I'm almost afraid to ask, but what streaming service is it on again?
I guess it's
again,
Showtime.
Yeah, everything's on. I'm all Showtime these days.
Someone got a subscription.
Yeah, I got it. I can hook you up, man. I can take care of that.
No, I've got it. I don't. I can't remember.
Eric, I could do.
I'll give it a try.
Try to ease your burden, Eric, on your subscriptions. So.
I'll take your subscription.
All right. Well, Joke Moner's popping in. He says, "Hey, what's up, guys? Nice seeing you guys again. You guys change your time. We did. Yes, we got it until later
today. Yeah, we did.
It was a scheduling snafu. The Girl Next Door, very nice movie. Waiting for you guys to do a podcast about it. Really? Well, here you are. This is
the wait's over.
Yeah, it's time. We're going to talk about The Girl Next Door, the 2004 film. Yeah, how about that? It's kind of worked out naturally. That wasn't even pre-scripted, folks. In fact, none of the show is pre-scripted, just so it's clear. This is
in case it's not obvious.
This is all taped live before no studio audience. Anybody who can get access to the link can join us. So
taped live.
Yeah, so
dogs.
That's right. No emails this week either. So this is a 2004 film starring Emile Hirsch and Elisha Cuthbert. Also, Paul Dano's in this. Paul Dano became a very respected actor after this. Yeah, Paul Dano shows up. Yeah. Timothy Oliphant, and maybe one of his best fucking roles. So funny in this movie. We'll talk more about that.
James Remar.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Peterson. I got to laugh every time Timothy Oliphant was on the screen. But this is about, a 2004 film. So let's go and take a look. Travis Roy, did you ever see this movie? You said you had a copy of it back in the day, so I'm certain you have memories.
This is when I bought the used DVD of, I think, when I was still working at the Blockbuster film. So I've just got what Travis Scott. I think Kanye West.
Travis Scott is a
Travis Scott.
Yeah, we got Kanye West and Travis Scott love our show. So thanks, guys. Wow.
Yeah, thank you for those that are listening, not watching, we get messaged every now and then by rap superstars. So thanks, guys. Best to you and yours.
Two of the biggest names in the business, man. Shit.
I'd never heard of Travis Scott until the recent sadness.
We want to thank Machine Gun Kelly for the 5-star review he left us last week.
So I watched the movie. I really liked the movie. I had not watched the movie, I would guess, since 05, 06. It was one that, it burned fast and bright. When I bought it, I watched the shit out of it, and then I didn't watch it again until last night.
There it is. Eric Bransham, first time you saw this film. Tell me.
2 days ago. 2 days ago. That's it. That's all I can say.
It's a good story.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Sorry to disappoint celebrated rapper Travis Scott, but I only recently seen this film.
Well, I definitely saw this film in the late 2000s. I didn't see it when it first came out. I picked up on it. I remember I was like, oh, wow, this is a fun film. And I started watching it, and it really kind of hit me. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And it really exposed me to Timothy Oliphant for the first time, at least in my experience. Everybody absorbs films differently, and timelines are all different. And I was like, oh, man, this guy's hilarious. I'm into this dude.
I think it was my first experience with him.
Wasn't? I mean,
I don't remember. I watched Go when it came out, but he wasn't memorable to me. It wasn't like, who is this guy? Like, I'm going to follow this person's career. But when this movie came out, I did the same thing. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? He's like a superstar.
Yeah, it was like this is the same time that Justified show was on FX, and I was like, oh, that guy from Justified. Okay.
Was it the same time?
Well, that's when I saw this movie. It was like I said, it was a few years later.
Gotcha.
Travis Scott wants to know when we're going to get into Christmas movies. Honestly, probably next month. I'm sure we'll probably do some type of holiday film. Man. Likely. You know,
absolutely.
We like to be timely. You know, we're not.
Get
fools.
a screenshot of that. Damn.
So, what is the rating on this film on IMDb?
I saw it. I didn't mean to, but you know what? The fucking Amazon people just post that shit right next to the title. If you go looking for it, it's right there.
So
I'm like,
close,
bastards.
Yeah, so close.
How did I avoid that? Oh, I'm going to say this is a. People like this movie, but it can't be that great. It's dumb in a way, so I'd say it's a 6.5.
Eric,
I do believe Travis said it's a 6.6, isn't it?
it's a 6.7.
Oh, Jesus,
6.7.
It's a solid film. So.
That's a well-reviewed film. I mean, it's not classic territory, but it's certainly well-regarded.
Well-regarded. I'm actually really excited for the reviews on this one because I really don't know what the critics had to say about this film.
All right, let's dive in.
But they definitely splatted it with the 56% review rating on the Rotten Tomatoes thermometer. 56% is not good. 69% though from the audience. So the audience was more into this film than the critics were.
Unsurprising.
And yeah, again, I don't think that's surprising at all. I would agree. As far as the critics, well, we got a lot more.
Goody Coons. Goody Coons. Goody Coons.
Or Goody Coons. Descend or Goody Coons.
We got a lot more reviews for this one than last week's. I know that.
Non-regular listeners are like, what the fuck language is this now?
Saying? Travis Scott is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Bill Goody Coons. He writes for the Arizona Republic.
You got Bill?
I'm just letting people know who he is. I haven't found Bill yet. So
was it the
let's
Arizona
go with
Republican or something?
How about old Richard Roper from Ebert and Roper, which just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Really doesn't.
Risky Business, while cynical and salacious, also had style, charm, and heart. The Girl Next Door is just nasty, loud, and empty.
I knew it. I knew.
How many critics compared it to Risky Business? I'm just wondering. I mean,
like this fucking guy. Like, why would like anybody that would be interested in this movie? Why would you give a fuck about his opinion? It just doesn't. Like, those two things don't really line up. I don't think this movie's not for him.
Wow, I didn't think of Risky Business at all, but here's another one. Janice Page of the Boston Globe said, seems mainly about ripping off 1983's Risky Business without attribution. Desson Thompson! Here he is. This is from April 9th, 2004. On that date, Desson Thompson said, grade. That's right. He said this. An entertaining affair whose wild card creativity never ceases to surprise. All right, way to go, Desson. Oh, man.
Desson.
He's down.
Desson.
Roger Ebert was still alive. He says, this is a dishonest, quease-inducing comedy that had me feeling uneasy and then unclean.
Okay, so I think immediately we're going to get into the heart of the matter is however comfortable you are with pornography is going to really affect how you feel about this movie. Because if you think it's dirty and nasty and gross and bad, then you're probably not going to have a hard time with this film. Which clearly some of these people got their fucking thumb up their butt. Like, okay, go have a fucking time.
Yeah, I think Ebert would be still open-minded, but maybe he did have his thumb up his ass.
Dude, Roger Ebert wrote Valley of the Dolls. He's fine with pornos.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
true.
guys, this is getting out of control. I'm just
okay.
Michael Jackson, alive and well.
Wow.
In to say
the resurrected virtual corpse of Michael Jackson.
The reason that's so funny is like you can't change your name. Like you don't put a name on these comments. Like whatever your YouTube name is who you are. It's just so funny that these are the people that keep showing up.
I would be willing to bet $100 this is Chud Bud.
It's funny.
Oh, Chud Bud Conspiracy. All right, so
I played in a band called Chud Bud Conspiracy back in the 90s.
I remember that. Yeah, that was decent, not bad. So this movie does have a heavy porn element, and this is at a time when Jenna Jameson became mainstream and porn really kind of came into the mainstream. So that was probably the reason this movie got lit in a way, because it's a mainstream film that's for like kids. It is teenagers at least. I mean, it's a teeny movie. It's about high schoolers.
It's an exaggerated fantasy, which is what porn is. Like
but,
to leave
I
it,
mean,
but
yeah, that's fair. I mean, this is like male fantasy, the movie.
sure.
Well, if you wanted to call this movie gross for language and a lot of homophobia, that's involved in this. I mean, the F word's used repeatedly in this movie a lot.
Eli's
And
gay though, right?
Ooh.
Eli just hasn't figured it out yet. He like where he's bi.
Oh,
or
my
something.
God.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
Eli
maybe.
likes men. Like Eli.
So he's doing the classic,
yeah,
trying
he's
to trying to be too straight.
Yeah, he wants to beat off with his friends constantly. Like
He's
he's
going with
constantly
it.
bringing up he's the only one really bringing up the slurs for the most part. Like
That's true.
Eli's dealing with some shit.
That's a great point. I guess I hadn't thought of it like that. Well said, Travis. That's why we do the show. We learn more about the movie from each other.
Eli.
And I will say that Chris Marquette, who plays Eli, he's got great. He was really good in Just Friends, playing Ryan Reynolds' younger brother. He's very funny. He's got that.
He's got a good
comedic
timing.
He does.
He does.
He's really natural, and I wish he did more.
He
do too.
he was doing McLovin before, like, it's 5 years before McLovin.
Fucking A,
He was doing
man.
it way better. You're right.
With a harder edge, with a bit more of an edge. Like
Yeah.
he
I
can,
liked
he
him
can
in the
play
movie.
cool more easily.
I've never seen him before or since, but he was really funny in the film.
Yeah, he's funny.
I agree. Yes, we have lots of celebrity supporters. That's true.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
That's
Okay.
true.
we're a big deal on YouTube, apparently.
Really caught on with pop culture.
So I never thought about the porn aspect of this. I just thought the porn was kind of like,
Really?
well, okay. Obviously, I recognize porn's involved in the film. It's a
Maybe
very
that's
heavy. To me, it's just the setting. It's like this. It's this piece. It's a part of the movie that is trying to tell the story. It's not about porn. It's just. It's like the high school is a setting. Okay, that's part of the movie. That's how I look at it. You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. But people are used to seeing high schools in movies. They're not used to. I mean, like I have mixed feelings about how the porn industry has dealt with this film, which I think is a good thing. Is that the film deals with porn in a mixed way. Like she is ambiguous about it. It's not for her. It's not for Danielle. But it doesn't present the industry like some sort of predatory, sick, awful thing for the most part. I mean, Kelly's kind of a bad guy. Let's be honest. I mean, like he's a chicken hawk, like preying on these teenage girls and shit. Like he's not a good dude. But I still don't, like. I don't think it's like a damning portrait of pornography as an industry or anything like that.
Kelly's preying on her, and who does the James Remar character?
Yeah,
He's definitely
Hugo
pretty much
Posh.
saying,
Posh?
ditch this guy and get with me. He's talking to like an 18-year-old girl. I have a lot of problems with those aspects of it, but
There's
we
also
get to them.
There's also the drugs, forcibly being given drugs. People might find that to be offensive.
I mean, it's not the first time I've seen it in a film, but I tell you what, I would never take shit. I mean, we just talked about this when we did SLC Punk. Like, why would you take fucking anything from a stranger? Like, let alone someone who's like openly your enemy. This dude just punched you in the fucking face moments ago. You say no to it.
But he does, the way he does it is so well. In that car scene, he goes at him. Oh man, that's gonna be a bitch. I'm sorry. Let me help you now, because he's so good.
Yeah.
The way he delivers his lines, he's always like, "Hey, I'm your buddy." Like when he goes to the high school, Timothy Olyphant first shows up to their high school, and Kelly's like talking to these girls. By the way, Olivia Wilde, who's just one of the high school girls.
Yeah, I noticed her.
Like, oh, that's Olivia Wilde. I never noticed that before.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about Paul Dano's character. He's like, you know, it's got the killer, bud. This fucker right here.
Yeah.
Paul Dano's just sitting there like a doofus. It's so dry. It's so funny. I just thought Timothy Olyphant is the highlight of this movie by far. And I'm glad. It's always going to make me laugh because of the way even his character's a piece of shit. That's when you know it's a quality written character, because he is a scumbag, but I still am like, I'm kind of into this guy. Either way, I want to hang out with this guy.
And you even get like this denouement with him at the end where you're like, oh, all right, I'm happy that his story gets kind of wrapped up nicely. And like, because you're, even though like you're recognizing this dude's a shitbag through like the whole movie, but he's so fucking charming that you can't help but like him. And then of course, Matthew like totally outclasses him by, after all of that, sending him a box of cigars, which is how they met, or like the first time they met. It's fucking awesome. Like I learned a thing from you here, learn a thing from me.
There's also another reason critics would be calling this a gross movie is because of the way the character, Samyang, they're trying to bring him over. He's a foreign exchange student. But there's like the guy at the party says, "Hey, when's Samsung showing up?" That's clearly
that guy.
Yeah, but that's
Oh yeah.
that kind of kid in high school would absolutely exist. To me, that's real. Like high schoolers are morons. We're immature assholes, and they would say dumb shit like that. So I don't think it's trying to like create a display of, hey, fuck this guy from overseas, and we're gonna try to bring him over. And it's not like that. It's just what high schoolers are like. They're ignorant, immature morons.
Like
so
the kid is fucked. Like some young is fucked when he shows up, but not because everyone's all like bullies and like, oh, we hate people who aren't from America. More like they're gonna fuck with this kid in a big way. Like that was very realistic.
We've never seen a minority. Good luck here.
Right. Which also kind of brings me to the way the movie starts, ignoring the kind of like cringy moment where like the high school photographer is like calling the girl gorgeous and all that, and it's all porny. But after it gets past that, and it starts off where you think you're going to follow this one set of characters who are just like Joe Americana and like just like this is going to be a classic, traditional, conventional fucking teen high school movie, and here's our stars, and then it's like record scratch, like actually it's these guys over here, and they're very much on the outside of all that, and we're gonna have a very actually unconventional high school film that we're gonna show you instead. The movie, I kept on thinking watching this, even though like other than being an unconventional high school movie, it doesn't have that much in common with it, but it is another cult classic. It's 3 O'clock High. Maybe the surreal elements, maybe
a lot of not dreams, but a lot of flashbacks or what are they are dreams, I guess. They're what if scenarios.
Fantasies. That's my biggest problem with the film, actually. If we want to get into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I mean, there's just a little too much where I'm like, I'm not sure if this is happening or not, because there's enough surreal things that happen in real life, like say, like when fucking Kelly like bursts into his classroom and pushes the fucking desk, and shit. And you're like, is this really happening? Like, yeah,
that's a great point.
So like,
that's a great point.
That's one of my few complaints. Is I'm like, I can't always tell like what the fuck is this a fantasy or is this not? Because the fantasies are kind of feel like they were filmed. And like maybe they were going to be actually included and then they weren't, like when the principal or the assistant principal kicks in at the end of the film and like messes up the shoot, or like when he's like driving past the security guard. They feel like they're so specific in a lot of what's happening. It's like, this doesn't feel like, I don't know. Maybe I'm speculating here.
Well, Johnny Sins completely agrees with us. So thank you, Johnny. Is that... I don't know if that's really you.
Completely agree, guys.
What in the world? Johnny Sins watches you guys? Yeah, I mean, we have all types of fans. We don't discriminate. As long as you guys support the show and you want to be inclusive, welcome to the show. We love having you guys aboard. I will tell you that point, Travis, would usually piss me off. You know I hate dream sequences. Yeah. I always hate that. Yeah. And for some reason...
you like a good fantasy sequence, like License to Drive.
I guess there is a difference there because... I didn't consider the element of those types of scenes confusing me until I watched it this time as well. So I have to agree with you. I would. I still laugh though when as soon as he finds out she's a porn star and he comes home, she starts making out with his mom. It was so hilarious to me.
Cringy. That scene is. I'm not crazy about that scene.
Why not? It was hilarious.
I don't know, man. You're sexualizing, like, I don't know. It's that seems like this.
He's a teenage doofus who just found his girlfriend's a porn star. So he's.
And yeah, I do get that. Like, it makes like you're showing that this is what's really on his mind is the fact that she's a porn star. It's just like, I don't know.
I just thought it was so dumb because the way the actress who plays his mom's face is hilarious. Makes me laugh. Like,
she did a good job. And was that Bill Bosworth? Who was that?
Timothy Bottoms.
I always get them two messed up. Yeah.
Timothy Bottoms. Eric, you're not saying much here. We want to get you involved in the conversation, Eric. So if you want to rip this movie, just let it out. Come on.
Go for it.
I'm having a hard time overcoming your guys' praise for the Timothy Oliphant character. Even though you think he's a scumbag, you still laugh. For me, maybe it's because I didn't see it when I was a kid or whatever. The entire time he's on screen, I am like, this is kind of a problem for this entire movie. This is a violent, controlling prick who probably like coerced this like girl who's probably 18 now, but we know there's a history there. So what did he do before? The entire time I'm like,
is she supposed to be 18? I thought she was supposed to be like 22. I'm sorry, but that seems like
it's actually never clear. It's like maybe she's 19, but it's not clear.
They don't bother telling us her history or even how she feels about this industry. So for this character to come in and just be this,
sorry, but I do feel like they tell us that. But go ahead.
How?
Well, I mean, she says, I want out of this. And she said,
Yeah.
this is all I am. And she's not saying that in
Okay,
like a
I'm
good way.
talking
Like
about how she got into it and how she feels about it, not just like I want out of it. And that's like, oh, well, at least she said she doesn't like it anymore.
well, I think it comes across very much that she's got mixed feelings about it. But what's up, Mike?
I'm not gonna keep bringing up these comments. There's just a new one. It's just so funny.
Justin Timberlake was check-in.
No. Stupid. This is who's doing this. It's so dumb. Prince Salman of Saudi Arabia has our support. So
I am
dumb.
Prince Salman of Saudi Arabia. You guys have my support. This is going on Saudi national television. Prince Salman, we thank you.
Whoever wrote that has a great sense of humor, because if you know anything about Saudi Arabia, this movie would never be allowed to play except in secret hideouts where everyone's constantly having sex and watching porn, which happens all over Saudi Arabia. But anyways,
with all due respect to Prince Salman of Saudi Arabia, it's hard for me to laugh when we've got a central figure who she's in this industry, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't realize that there's very real differences between consensual sex work, non-consensual trafficking and sexual exploitation, or any of that stuff. There's no way I'm touching that. But I do have a problem with this male figure in the film that's supposed to be a comedic element that is clearly an aggressive, threatening,
Well,
you know.
Mate,
Yeah, go ahead.
Your response seems healthy and normal, though. I mean, like, he is the villain of the fucking film, one, and we're supposed to see that he's charming, where he can pull people into his web and get them to do things that maybe they're not really that into. So, like, you know, like that we're laughing and that we're charmed. Me and Mike are charmed by him. Maybe, you know, that's like whatever. Like, your take on him is valid and good, and I don't see where that would necessarily harm the viewing of the movie. I can see that not necessarily finding it funny, but certain aspects funny.
When we like the fact that, hey, Emile Hirsch's character is friends with him now. I gave him a nice gift and everything's cool. I guess that's what I'm talking about. Like, we're not vilifying this.
No. I don't think that. I mean, the guy robbed him blind and tried to blackmail him to his family. They're not friends now. I think that's a message. The cigars is a message, because when he first meets him, like, he's trying to when Matthew first meets Kelly, he's trying to like prove that he's a man too. And Kelly, like, very condescendingly, like, shows him how to smoke a cigar. Like, and it is probably the first time the dude's ever smoking a cigar. So he's teaching him, here, I'm going to show you how to be a fucking man. And now, now he turns around like, I'm going to show you how to be a fucking man. I'm a real fucking man. Here, have a fucking bunch of cigars.
Okay, so that goes to the bigger viewpoint of this movie. There's two things there. One is he's got nothing in terms of memories. That's how the movie starts. All these people, I remember when, and everyone's got their memories of high school. Matthew has none. And also, he's trying to get this scholarship because he's going to Georgetown, which is about having top-notch moral fiber. And he wants to go to Georgetown to be president someday, which means he wants to be involved in politics and big-time affairs. So what ends up happening inadvertently is he does get involved in, like, a different version of these big-time affairs of, you know, the porn business and Kelly's situation. And it's not what he maybe wanted originally, but they're trying to... I don't know if the writing is lame in that respect or if it's like, oh, it's pretty clever. I'm curious if you guys thought about either of those.
I think that the third act generally feels like studios' fingers got all fucking over it and started messing with it. The third act is definitely
really
the wonkiest bit. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot happening in the third act where I'm like, what is going on? Like, you're telling me that Eli went home with a porn star and still edited the entire fucking thing with music and everything, and then Kelly somehow knew about all of this and where Eli lived and snuck into his house while he was sleeping, ejected the only copy. I mean, there's some wonky shit happening towards the end of the film, is what I'm saying.
Minions! Out, Minions! I do like Minions. That makes me laugh.
Oh, I love the Minions. But much of the movie, I think, makes a lot of sense. And then things at the end, I think that gets a little fuzzy. But I'm also heavily of the opinion that there's probably more than one exec who was like, we can make this a PG-13 movie. I know we can do this.
Do you think it makes sense?
No, it's R.
It's still R. Okay,
it's absolutely. It has
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Just, you almost sold me for a minute.
Fuck. Do you think it makes sense that Danielle falls for the Emile Hirsch character Because like she perceives him to think differently about her when he's just thinking about how everybody else thinks about her, which is an object of sexual gratification from the get-go. I don't understand this attraction.
Well, that's how it started. He looks at her through the window, right? And then she tries to get revenge on him by making him strip in the street to get back in him. He also, the one thing okay, you're right. Initially, he does look at her in a sexual way because he's a fucking horny teenager.
Yeah, more than just sexual though. He's head over heels, like right off.
Oh
the
yeah.
bat.
Yeah, he's this girl to him. She's a gorgeous
Fucking
woman that's
goddess.
his age, lives right next door, and he's all in right away. But what changes it real quickly in terms of the character motivation that you're alluding to, Eric, to me, is that when they're in the car on that drive after she comes over. And by the way, there's like jump scare-esque bullshit going on in this movie. Matthew, come down here.
Yeah.
And like,
It's not
oh
a
shit,
bait
I'm in
and
trouble.
switch. Right,
And
bait and
it's a
switch.
total bullshit, scary movie move that bothered me, actually. Really bothered me.
Okay.
I'll let it go.
Let it go.
Where I actually see the validity of the character motivation is his contriteness in the car. He says to her, "You know what? I am sorry. I am just sorry. I was told." Like she can see the innocence in this guy. So to me, at least, that's not ridiculous.
I think that's it right there. Because I spent a lot of time this viewing thinking this, like trying to think the same thing. It's easy to see what he sees in her. What the fuck does she see in him? And I thought about it. I'm like, well, she's left this industry and she's gone to her aunt's house, which she knows this house, and and so like it's and she wants a normal life. And here's the boy next door, who doesn't know who she is and sees her as perfectly normal and is like smitten with her, right off the bat, and like he's totally wholesome, like he's not overly sexualizing her. I mean, he's sexualizing her. He's a fucking 18-year-old boy. Like, of course he's sexualizing her, but like he's like in love with her from like moment one. Well, yeah, but still, I mean, like, so to me, I think that's like, yeah, it's a little suspect, but I think she falls in love with his wholesomeness, with his innocence, with his earnestness.
Yeah, think about where the setting is too. This neighborhood, this house she's at. She knows this area she's in is not the porn area at all, too. She knows she's in a. You have to think about the context, and maybe that's a stretch too. But you have to realize the setting she's in, and she's like, okay, I'm in a wholesome neighborhood, which could be bullshit anyways, because there's a ton of people who live in those type of neighborhoods who are doing scumbag under the radar shit. But
I think she wants to be normal, and he's normal, and makes her feel normal.
Keep it simple. Yeah, I agree. Eric.
Great soundtrack, man. Red House Painters, Thunderclap Newman.
Unbelievable soundtrack. Even Bob O'Reilly shows up in here. Leonard Skinner shows up on. I mean, like this, like the money invested on this soundtrack. I mean, Echo and the Bunnymen. I don't know if you just said that, but like, it's fucking like Elliott
Smith.
It's a barrage.
David Gray.
It's just nonstop. Like the movie starts and it's just like an assault of like classic, probably expensive songs to get on your soundtrack.
That's one of the reasons I would like the movie, frankly. A music, if I like the music, it will draw me more into it. And that could be a totally absurd notion. But if I hear The Killing Moon, I'm like, oh, shit, this is a really good song. All right, I'm going to give you a little more credit. I'll give you a little more leeway, and I'll admit that freely.
Oh, yeah. I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
I got to admit, the biggest laugh I had of the movie, this is going to be too inside for Travis Scott and Michael Jackson, especially. But the school security scene, I started thinking about Fat Bald, and I just started laughing my ass off for like 20 minutes straight.
See, that was a fantasy again.
Fat Bald would fuck us.
Was what for those who don't know, Fat Bald was our security guard at our high school, who I'll give you a million reasons or chances,
not his real name.
I'm guessing. Yeah, why we called him.
Not a clever name at all. Not a clever name at all. He didn't have sirens though. It was just a station wagon, a shitty station wagon. But either way,
shitty station wagon, unmarked.
Yeah. Either way, I agree with you. That definitely. See, that's why this movie always kind of spoke to me as well. I thought they did a really good job of laying out at least what my kind of experience was in a high school. It doesn't mean it's everyone's experience, but for me, I saw a lot of relatability in some of the assholes, and other characters that are in this school. I did.
I like the first act. I like the spirit. Sorry, Travis, but like the spirit assembly mostly. That was one of my favorite parts because it was very true. It's just dumb kids being dumb kids. Very relatable.
Yeah, not ill-natured, just fucking goofing off and having more fun than they should.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I agree. The depiction of high school, like there is some stuff where it's like when they're like, there is definitely stuff where you have to suspend your disbelief, like any
Yeah.
fucking movie. But I always found this to be pretty true as far as the high school experience goes. I mean, Eli, again, not like to get back on him for a moment. Like the movie starts, like his character is so like his movie starts with him saying, "I just need to fuck something, not someone." Something. But that's like the stage of life this dude is, which like, you know, when you're fucking 16, 17 years old, that's your tunnel vision. And a lot, if you're a dude,
yeah, but are you gonna wear a Vivid video cap to school?
I would not be surprised. Not me, but
I doubt DeLegio would catch the reference.
Yeah,
or maybe
exactly.
He would.
Yeah.
All right, what else are you pissed about, Eric? Come on, I know you're pissed about more stuff.
Yeah, I am.
Most notes I've ever taken for anything we've watched.
Really?
Really, Travis?
Most notes I've ever taken for anything we've watched.
I definitely want to get to yours.
Surprise myself.
Give us a sample.
Yeah, give us a little bit. I got more, but yeah, let's make sure we give you a lot.
Apparently, I found it really quotable because mostly I just wrote down like fucking lines from the movie. How's the rack? ? Exclamation point. I thought that was important.
How's the rack?
Yeah, he's on the phone the first time he sees her.
I remember, but
he hangs up on Eli.
How's the rack?
Also, one of my favorite moments of the movie, I wrote down the dialogue. Dude, I know. Dude, I know.
That happened like 5 times in this period of about 20 minutes in that film because they're all just blown away because they all have nothing. I mean, this kid's going to Yale. Paul Dano's character's going to Yale, and he's going to Georgetown, and Eli's a isolated minion ruler of his tiny little camera world.
They're all set. So what are the stakes? I mean, they're gonna, even if it doesn't get into Georgetown, it's going somewhere. So what are the stakes?
It's obvious.
Booksmart. It's like Booksmart. It's like they fucking wasted their time being way too much involved with school, and now they're like, shit, we're about to not be kids anymore, and we need to fucking let loose. And Matthew in particular has realized that his life is, you know, already like he's got it all mapped out, but like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's not happy, and then like. There's this how is
he going to live up to his idol JFK and do all the wonderful things that he did?
Well, you can start by fucking really hot women.
He's halfway there, my friend.
Yeah, that's a good spot. All right, give us a few more notes. Come on, dude.
Oh, geez. I put myself on the spot, I guess. You know, one of the things I really like about this movie is like, okay, like I made a note at one point. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a little conventional. It's the end of the movie and he's giving a big speech about how he feels. But no, it's not the end of the movie and he's giving a big speech of how he feels. So this movie, like it's an hour 40 or an hour and 50. I mean, it's a little shy of 2 hours, but like it takes you on a fucking journey. Like a lot of movies would have like wrapped things up. Like when he loses her to Vegas, has to go and get her back. A lazy screenwriter, lazy filmmakers, or most filmmakers would have had that be the second half of the movie, and eventually gets her back, and the movie's over. But like he gets her back, and then he's got this whole other thing to figure out. He's got to figure out how to deal with this 25 grand. He's got to figure out all this other stuff, and like he's got to, you know, it's just the movie takes you like this place to place to place, and sometimes it's a little, you know, contrived, but that's fine. I think that overwhelmingly and overall, the movie takes some risks and goes some places and does a lot with the time that it has. Most movies, regardless of whether or not they have some sort of porn element, are just not going to trouble themselves to have their character do. It's almost exhausting, but in a way that it makes you want to watch it again.
Do you have any notes about how the movie's called The Girl Next Door? Elisha Cuthbert's on the cover. She has a big impact in that first act, and then she does nothing but stand around for the last 45 minutes. Has no impact on the plot.
I made a note that I don't quite understand why she disappeared at the prom scene at the end when he has to go back to like deal with that, but it only makes sense for her not to be there so that she can like walk in and stuff. But other than that, like, no.
This is very obviously Matthew's movie, is it not?
Yeah, it's not.
They call it The Girl Next Door. You're right, Eric. It's true, but
it's got a narrator. It's got a person that it starts with. I mean, like,
it's all
about Matthew.
She is it's kind of a boat. Maybe they should I don't have a problem with the title. It's fine because it's about him, but she's the impetus for all the change that happens in his life. So whether that's cool or not.
And that's one of the things I really liked about the movie too, is like when they kind of first start to fall in love at the diner and she draws a picture of herself to him and gives it to him. I'm like, that's interesting, kind of self-absorbed or something. But like, I'm like, well, he better challenge her as much as she challenges him. And I like this movie because like she like, I love the moment when she puts him in, forces him into this position where it's like, hey, you're gonna sit here and either watch your fucking enemies hit on me and walk your ass out of this party, or you're gonna turn around and man up and take me. So she's willing to do that for him, but she like, it takes more work, significantly more work in a lot of ways for him to do the same thing for her, but he does. Like, however she feels about the porn industry, she doesn't really want to be there or do that. And he is adamant about like showing her that, like, no, like, you know, this does not define you.
I think that's one of my big issues with the film, that they have this opportunity in 2004 to talk about this industry and female empowerment in a way that kids that are going to the theater that are, you know, 18 to 25 are going to see. And yet they don't have that much to say about female empowerment. You got a character that's stuck in a situation with a controlling pimp, and she needs this high school senior male to save her. She does nothing about her own situation.
No, I think you make some good points there. I think you do.
She also is a part of getting the whole final video thing together, making the sex ed video. She's a very important part of that. And she's doing it. What her motivations are, okay, we could argue that. That's fair. But she is key to that. And they also make the men look smaller. Like the kid who blows his load in a heartbeat, or he can't perform or whatever. He's I think there's a fair amount of like, hey,
at least some exploration.
Yes. Okay. Well, all right. Well,
something to think about.
I'm going to think about it. I'm going to stew on that for a while.
Well, this kind of gets back to my point earlier. Like, I am fine with her being ambiguous about how she feels about the industry. I think that that's what I like about the movies. It doesn't treat the industry as an evil thing. Like the two friends of hers that come and go to the prom with her and stuff, like, they seem happy as fucking pigs and shit. They're very clearly like just happy, contented people with the lives that they've chosen. And
yes.
And you get, and like the perfectly nice woman that Klitzy feels up in front of her husband, like that's you know what I mean, like she seems like she, I mean, I don't know if that's female empowerment exactly, but like I do think that the movie it shows that this is Danielle's issue with pornography. It's not that pornography is inherently an evil industry, but I do agree with you that like I'm a little like, he's got to save her from this thing and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm not in love with that either, but I think that they walk a line here and do an okay job of it.
Yeah, you think about other high school teenage-esque movies. Think about like an American Pie. Like that movie's so dumb. What's going on? They try to make it about these doofuses who are trying to get laid. Senior year, prom's coming up. There's a prom in this movie. That's, you know, prom is always the end of most high school focused films, and that's never going to change probably. But in this film, they do go in a lot of different directions, and they do flip the script on your typical high school hijinks comedy. This is not that. And if it does get into that category, then I would give the movie more credit for that, because it's not that.
I heard what you just said. And yet, this for me, this could easily be like Van Wilder 4 or American Pie, one of those 5 direct-to-DVD sequels. Like,
Eugene Levy just extending his career.
Different? Like, how is this different from? Wouldn't it be cool to take a porn star to the prom? That's what this is to me. Like, how is this different?
That is not fair.
I do love when they fucking like the losers or whatever, like stroll in with porn stars and a film crew. That is just satisfying to watch.
This is an upstart too. Yeah, that's a good point, Travis. Like, fuck the jocks and these guys who are always the popular people. This is like an upstarts movie, and I like that too. I guess I do enjoy that part of it. I didn't really think about it till that moment, but I do.
Yeah, I mean, and okay, is this coming from the tradition of early 2000s bro movies like that, like were very sexualized and kind of throwbacks to Meatballs and shit? But okay, yeah, there's some connections to that. Right. But I like, what sets us apart for me, it's the relationship. There's very real, like, to me, I feel like there's a very real heart to this film. I feel like there's a good connection, a good chemistry between Emile Hirsch and Elisha Cuthbert. Elisha, whatever the fuck her name is.
Say that 10
You said it. Yeah.
I can hardly even look at her without like my brain just fries and I just want to stop doing it. I just want to gaze and stare at her longingly.
See, that's
a few things.
I can't blame Matthew. Yeah,
she always
does. She has
Where is she? This
don't
is
know.
what, 17 years ago? Where is she?
Last time I saw her, she was in that TV show Happy Endings in the last decade, and I haven't seen her since. So
I really liked that show too.
yeah, I got cut short. I'm sorry.
I know I was not happy about that, but and not just gorgeous. I mean, I think that she is a talented, convincing, natural actor.
Played Jack Bauer's daughter on 24.
I didn't really watch that. No,
I like her. I like her and Emil Hirsch. That's why I think they're kind of above this material. I like them. I like what Emil Hirsch is. I'm sorry, Travis. I like what Emil Hirsch is doing here. I think his acting is really good. This is like his second film after like
the Emperor's Club.
The Emperor's Club with Paul Dano.
What was that art school movie that he did? With,
the Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys. That was the same year as the Emperor's Club, I believe, 2002.
Yeah, that was before.
For many years, I think he was signed on, and then he started gaining the weight, and then the project got canceled. But he was going to play John Belushi, and then you watch this scene where he's on the ecstasy, and I'm watching. I'm kind of seeing it. Like, this is a talented actor, and this is a good performance for a second feature out of the gate for him.
Let me
so fucking confident. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. Absolutely. I just wanted
for a kid his age.
For a kid his age. You know how IMDb gives you more like this? You know, they offer more suggestions. Here's some of the suggestions off the IMDb page of this movie. She's Out of My League, starring Jay Baruchel, a bozo comedy. Euro Trip, bozo comedy. American Pie, we already called that one.
New Guy.
Road Trip. Featuring the guy from The New Guy, DJ Qualls. American Pie 2, American Wedding. I mean, it's all just locked into all the same type of bozo movies. Accepted with Justin Long, where somebody tries to get into college. And none of these movies have what the depth of this film. I really believe that.
Depth.
I agree. I mean, like, when everyone wanted to call everything fucking grunge, including Afghan wigs, this is the Afghan wigs. This is not quite that. Like, I see where you want to lump it in and say it's one thing because you see some of these elements. But I think this movie stands apart. Not just the relationship. I think the unconventionality of, is that a word? Unconventionalness of the script.
Okay,
right. I mean the twists and turns that it takes. I think and I don't think the actors are above this. I think they elevate the work. I think that you have these two, and you have Paul Dano, you have Timothy Oliphant, Remar. You have some really talented people here in this film. And they elevate the whole fucking thing. So I mean, like, you just have a good cast,
and it's well written. The dialogue is well written. I don't know if the structure of the movie is solid or not, but the dialogue is really solid. I think it's like fresh and it's not cheesy. You might find it to be at times, but I think that it's well done. Now, Eric, tear it apart some more. Go ahead, give us another one.
Counselor had an awesome cast. Movie's absolute trash.
This is true.
No one could elevate that material.
That's true.
No, I'm just joking. You're right. Yeah, they do make it better for me for sure. The acting's fucking incredible. These are the writers from Van Wilder. This is the director of The Animal from Rob Schneider, and all of that totally shows for me. That's why I'm sitting back and I'm like, it's like we're reviewing American Pie.
I didn't know that. That's fucking hilarious.
I kind of like The Animal.
I did too. I saw The Animal in the theater. I'm not even kidding. And I've seen it many times.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I
haven't seen it in a long time either. Actually, you're right.
Sorry.
I watched
you guys like it. I'm glad. I don't want to be I'm just.
No, we do the show so we can present all facets of our opinions for everyone who's into this movie or opposed to this movie.
And I will say this, while we're talking about like being harsh about a film or whatever, I'm not going to change my ruling on Judgment Night, but I do think I myself went a little harsh on Judgment Night. There's more there to enjoy.
You've been thinking about it?
I've been thinking about it. I'm not going to undo my ruling, but I do think that I was a little harsh on it.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
I'll take that for sure.
Could be a bonus episode. Travis's regrets. All right. Well, we're getting to the end of this thing. Anything else before we close up shop and shut down the girl next door?
Just so much. Attack Parrot. There's an Attack Parrot at one point.
The Dick Trophy.
Yeah, Dick Trophy. Attack Parrot.
I'm a sucker for a guy or a girl or anybody who's on drugs in inappropriate scenes. That's always going to make me laugh. I can't help myself.
What's the best? The best has to be Wolf of Wall Street when he's fucking around on the. It's so funny.
It's so stupid. When he's on the airplane. Yeah.
No, when he's like rolling around.
Fucking Satchel shows up on this soundtrack. Also, like, there's some really good music here. A lot of good references. I think that this scholarship program is brutal as shit. Like, what is this? Like, just public humiliation? Just go up there and like watch and wait and see if you spoke words good enough. Ugh, fuck me. That sounds awful.
Yep.
Oh, and also
funny.
That's why I kind of like it, man. Like, excuse me, Travis, but they are the one thing the script is doing, in my opinion. I don't mean the one thing. It does a few things, but it is saying speeches are bullshit. Like a man's or even a 17-year-old kid's life experiences mean way more than some stupid speech that may or may not win you some scholarship. I did like that part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. And is there a more like every time I watch this movie, still, I am so fucking disappointed in him. When he takes her to the motel and fucking like nods at it and she goes along with it. It's so brutal and hard to watch. And he's in this leather coat, not even a leather jacket, like it's like a leather coat. And it's like, so he's like trying to be
real
cool.
Though. It
was very real though. I know, and that's why I cringe. It's hard to watch because I care already, and you're only like a half hour into the movie, and I care about these characters. I'm excited about the possibilities between them, and like I'm like, you're fucking falling into this trap, dude.
Peer pressure. Eli got to him.
Well, and it's partly him too. Obviously, he follows through, and the way that she goes along with it, and like the way that she goes along with it is so fucking. It's like it makes it even harder. Because you're like, oh, like she's honest. Like, yeah, it's really honest. And again, like a half is relatively low or early in the film. So it's just like there are these hooks throughout the film that just get me like emotionally engaged over and over again, which is another thing I think holds it apart from shit like American Pie 2 or whatever.
Van Wilder 2, The Rise of Taj.
Yeah, no dogs get masturbated in this film, so it's got that going for it.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. All right, well, let's close it up then.
On that
note. Travis, why don't you go first this week?
Dude, I love this movie. Fucking love this movie. Wow. I do think it gets, like I said, I think the third act gets a little, man, there's some like, how the fuck does she know where they're at? Like there's all this stuff where I'm like kind of like, okay, I don't know, this isn't making sense. But by that point, I'm so on board that I don't really care anymore. The first two acts are so strong. The connections between not just him and her, but the tripod, man, the fucking tripod is given its due. Like these friendships really matter, that they're part of the stakes of the film. And so like, again, another crucial part of that like teenage experience. Like if you're going to watch this movie, you feel connected to your friends, you feel horny and lonely, you feel like you're falling in love, you feel detached from the people that are doing high school or doing life right somehow. Like there's so much to connect to in this movie. It absolutely holds up. I'm really glad you chose it.
Eric, why don't you go next? Let's see. I think we know where you're coming out on this one. Come on.
It's a movie clearly written by some dumb guys. It feels like it was. It feels like it was written by teenagers, and they gave teenagers like $20 million to go make a movie. And then they made it, and this is it. There's something kind of slick and dreamy that I like about it. That's mainly in the cinematography and the score. I think saves the motherfucker, because you have like a 5-minute montage about romance and you're going to throw fucking Echo and the Bunnymen on there. Oh yeah, I'm sold. This relationship would totally work. So there's some stuff in there that does sink its teeth into you. It's infantile script. It's like I said, it's like the fourth direct-to-DVD sequel to American Pie. It refuses in a weird way to talk about these very real differences between sex and genuine, sincere love. There's an opportunity there. They don't really do it, or if they don't do it enough for me. I didn't care for the film. It just wasn't there for me. I liked Eli and Klitz. I would have preferred it be about them, and we just had a fun sex raunchy romp for a while. These tones that they try to blend don't work for me. So for me, I can't say it holds up, but I just saw it a couple days ago, and I am 41. Maybe I'm just an old man, but it's not for me.
Fucking Roper coming in.
Yeah, Richard Roper.
Man, look at my life. All right, so
sorry, man.
This movie, by the way, it didn't come out when we were kids. I mean, it came out when we were 24. So
kids.
We were still morons, but we weren't that moronic
we
as
weren't
a 17-year-old. Yeah. So
we weren't throwing baked potatoes at the wall.
Man.
McGriddles. Think about a movie like Donnie Darko, which is based in high school. and there's a really great soundtrack, but it's not there's a few lines that are funny in that movie. I get a few laughs at Donnie Darko. Some lines like, oh, that's hilarious. But it's definitely, the tone is much more serious. It's about some guy and the end of the world. So that's where the similarities end. But to me, they actually belong in the similar class beyond all the other movies we mentioned here with the goofy hijinks. And I like dumb hijinks. I don't need to think all the time. Sometimes I just want to zone out and, watch Strange Wilderness on repeat. I've done it.
That's a good point.
It's going to happen. And at the same time, I know that we're trying to improve the world, and we're always trying to do that. And this movie came out in a period, and we have to remember that. But we ask ourselves, hey, does it hold up? Is this so out of bounds that it doesn't hold up? No, I don't think so. I think this is a film that has a lot of clever lines, quality laughs, and it's actually thought-provoking. And I think the older you are, though, you might be more disconnected to it because we lose touch with that period in our lives where we consider, hey, I don't know anything about adults. They all look stupid to us. We know what's going on, and we're trying to figure this shit out at the same time. But at the same time, if you can actually go back to your younger days and connect with it, not every adult will be immune to the charms of this film. So I think it holds up. I just think I think it has enough going for it where it's not a piece of shit, and there may be a few issues that are not ideal, but it's still enough to say this is a solid film. It holds up.
All right. 2 holds up.
Eric, you're muted, so if you're tearing it apart, we want to hear it.
Do you think that their sex ed video would make it to most high schools in America?
I think it's a genius idea. I really do. It'll never happen, but I think it's a great idea.
Maybe if the porn stars didn't rip their clothes off, it would.
Yeah.
What if you've seen Paul Dano's giant, I suppose, allegedly penis?
That's one of the things I like about the movie too. While we're still on it,
The skinny guy's got to have a big dick.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about the whole movie. No, when they're trying to decide whether to do it, they're trying to get Dono to come along, and they're like, we're a fucking tripod. We need you. I'm like, no, you don't. You're the film guy, and he's the fucking producer guy, and we don't really need you. And it turns out it all hinged on him. So,
yeah, that's true.
It's a bait and switch, though, man. I'm watching it, and I hate to digress, but I kind of was wishing it would be about what if a video production class decided to try to make their own sex education. I wish that was what the movie was about instead of this bait and switch where, yeah, they're not making a porno, they're actually doing this.
Time to do a Kickstarter, dude. Make that movie.
You make that film. Make that film. Make that film.
All right, there it is. The Girl Next Door 2004 film. Hey, tell us what you thought. Cinema9pod at protonmail.com, or you can hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you feel most comfortable sharing your opinions in public. That's the format for you.
If you're a multi-Grammy award-winning superstar, hit us up.
Thanksgiving is next week, so we're going to try to get in next week's episode very quickly. We're going to do it on Saturday, which is 2 days from now, apparently.
Oh, shit.
And we have a guest. Who is it, Travis? What's cooking?
We have a guest from the Cage Rage podcast, a Nicolas Cage podcast. We're going to have Daryl Edge. I'm very excited to have Daryl on. I stumbled across his podcast simply by Googling Nicolas Cage podcast because I wanted to listen to one. That's exactly how I found him. And he's a British fellow with a really great sense of humor and a fond love of Nicolas Cage. So he's a man after my heart. And he has picked a film for us to watch, and he's on brand. It's a Nicolas Cage movie.
Yes. Okay, that's cool. I do like that.
Yes, I do too. I forgot to look up the year that the movie.
I just hope it's not god awful.
Wild at Heart.
It's The Weatherman.
This is not my short list.
God damn it!
Very interesting responses here. One of you is thrilled, the other one is furious.
One of them's pissed.
Weatherman, The Family Man, the trilogy series of The Man.
Yep.
All right.
It's only 2.
Let's do it.
It's a third Man movie.
Really?
It just feels like there should be because there's all these Nicolas Cage movies where he's the man. He's a different type of man. Yeah. He's a family man. He's a weatherman.
He's a wicker man.
Yeah. There it is.
There is another man. You got it.
I knew it.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. This has been on my short list, so now we have a great opportunity.
Thank God.
I feel like he did a really good job here in picking this because it's on brand for both his podcast and ours. Because I feel like this is a movie that it fits right into something that we would see anyway.
Let's do it, man.
Wait, are we doing the Weatherman or the Family Man? I'm already confused.
The Weatherman.
Okay. The Weatherman. Okay.
The Weatherman.
Is that the one with Don Cheadle?
No, that's
Yeah.
the Family Man. We're watching
That's
the
a
Weather
Family Man. Magical.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
shit. Oh, this might be the one I never saw, actually. Oh, wow.
This is the one where he has a toupee. The one.
Oh, okay. This is good then. Okay, I feel much better. It's
Oh, you've
not
never
the
seen it?
Family Man. Yay!
I love
It's the
Family
Weatherman.
Wow.
I don't think I've actually ever saw this film. So.
You're in for a treat. You're in for a Frosty Dairy treat.
The Gore Verbinski film.
Duck.
I didn't.
We'll see. We'll see if it holds up when we get together on Saturday, a little early this time.
Nicholas Hoult. How young was he? He's a
He's
child in
very
this
young.
movie.
This is like one of his first movies. Yeah.
You're gonna love
There
it.
you go.
Yeah. This is
So we're
right
doing.
after
What time are we
About a
doing
Boy.
this? 1 o'clock
We're doing it
p.m.
1:30 p.m. our time on
I gotta rate the
Saturday.
leaves. 1:30 our
Yeah,
time.
I gotta watch
Okay.
college football. That's really just not.
I
good
gotta
for my
watch the
schedule.
Weatherman like that morning.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only time I'm gonna have.
We only got 48 hours to watch the Weatherman.
I do have
You
to
watch
watch The
that
Weatherman.
film. Watch that film.
Yeah.
Watch that. All right, there it is. So
All right.
not next week, in 48 hours, we'll have 48
48
hours.
hours. 48 hours.
I know. You watch Weatherman. I'll watch your film, John.
All right, we're off the rails. We're having Daryl on. We'll see you guys Saturday, and thanks for joining us on the Cinema 9 podcast.
That Matthew Kidman, he fucked me. He fucked me real bad.